Howdy, y'all, and welcome to this episode of the Lonestar Halo Podcast. My name is Fernando, of course, the Lonestar Halo, joined here by Todd Fox. We're going to talk about the state of the Angels, like we love to do. We're going to talk about the recent Twin Series and talk, are things really as bad as they currently look? We're going to talk about it up next.
One, two, three, go! From Texas to Anaheim, we're bringing the heat. Todd and Fernando got the news every week. Walk-offs, strikeouts, who's making a name? Who's in the clutch and who's taking the blame? Lone Star Halo, fucking baseball, here we go. Big hats, bad calls, who's gonna rise and who's gonna fall?
Hey, welcome in everybody to the Lonestar Halo Podcast. Is my co-host and host of the show, Fernando, checked in with letting you guys know what show this is and what the Angels are going to be talking about, what we've been talking about with them. They've just been struggling. It's a bit of a mess, just like this intro is by me, but we'll get through it, hopefully. And as we do, we're going to talk about a lot of things Angels related, as we always do, and try to break down what exactly has gone wrong. I'm Todd Fox, the co-host, and once again, Lone Star Halo. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing really well. Now, I wanted to try something different, previewing the show. With every single episode, we are proudly sponsored by Brewheim Brewery. Drink local, cheer louder. The OC Dugout, your home for premium sports and memorabilia. 714 tickets. The best deal for Angels games and beyond, and then Underdog Sportsbook daily fantasy and sports betting done right. Remember, you got to be 21 plus. Please gamble responsibly. I'm sure Todd will play the ad just a little bit later. Use promo code HITI, HITI, at those sponsored locations, such as 714 tickets for future discounts. Subscribe and turn on notifications to catch every episode. Leave a comment, share your thoughts. We'll respond as we go.
Yes, leave a comment in the comment section, and yes, we will get back to you because that's how we roll here. Or email us at Halos in the Infield podcast at yahoo.com. So there you go. So first off, Lone Star, you were visiting us here in Cali for a little bit. You made it back when? Because did you catch much of the Twins series, and how'd you feel about it?
So I landed Wednesday of last week. So I went to the Angels game that Thursday. Obviously, I met up with you and your fiance. We hung out for 3-4 innings.
Yeah.
Had a good time. We all hung out at the club level.
We saw the most important part of the game.
Yeah. Zach Neto's home run. I will say this: the crowd was about what I expected in terms of the size. Obviously. O'Neal Cruz. That was the name I was looking for. I wanted to say Ernesto de la Cruz, the guy from Coco. No, he had made the game 1-0 very quickly. And almost immediately, man, the energy was sucked out of the stadium. And that audience was dead until the sixth inning when the Angels offense kind of started. Obviously, Trout got that triple, Taylor Ward that RBI. And then Logan O'Hoppe tied it up. But from there on out, that final 3 innings, the crowd was alive and popping, man. The Deos were Deoing. The people were cheering. They even tried the wave.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you could definitely what we've always talked about in this network. If you breed winning on the field, it doesn't matter what you're playing. All of a sudden, the Deos don't matter. The Hoffy hot dogs taste like gourmet sausages. It's a better time when they're winning it, and the excitement can be back. it's just like you said, the energy getting sucked out in the very first pitch of the game just goes to show you, man, the fans have no confidence in this hitting at all. So if you fall down at all, it's like, man, I don't know if we're going to come back. It may be a long night. That's the first thought that pops into your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially we're going to talk about the Twin Series here. This series was terrible. I mean, really, in all facets, no portion of the team was there. Sometimes it's like, well, hey, the pitching gave you a chance. The offense just didn't show up. But in this case, nobody showed up.
Yeah, you had, at least in the first game, you're absolutely correct. I mean, you pitch with two guys in relief of the starter, Hendricks, because Hendricks couldn't give you any innings. He was getting squeezed, and then he got beat around a little bit. And then, it was just a hit parade at that point. And then you bring in two guys who are quickly Madero, and I think it's Matthews or whatever his name is. He gets sent back down. Those guys were just there to eat up those innings at the end. It was an ugly game. They scored 4 runs, and you're like, damn, that's the highlight of the weekend. That's the most they scored. They scored only 5 runs in 3 games. So the offense and the hitting is pretty bad. There was an article that came out via Sam Blum. Jeff Fletcher had talked to some players. Jeff Fletcher had mentioned to 4 players that, obviously they're not going to throw the coaches under the bus, but they say it's on them. So they point the finger at themselves. But then you hear Sam Blum in his interview, and Sam Blum says, well, we're going to freaking, stay the course. We're not changing anything up, really. We think it's a good plan. These guys just aren't executing. So.
Yeah, I mean, you've said it, and yes, you've said it many, many times. They very approachingless out there. We're not the only podcast that said that, but you say that every single post-game show. You've been saying it every single post-game show for years. And it seems like no matter who the hitting coach is, they have these ebbs and flows, peaks and valleys, which, yes, is part of the game. But what should be part of the game is no matter who the hitting coach is, it seems the approach is always the same.
Correct.
Seriously, what's been the difference between Thames and Johnny Washington so far? On paper, Johnny Washington was great. Before spring training had officially started, or the beginning of spring training, and hell, even the first 2-3 weeks of the season, man, small ball mentality. This team was doing what they had to do to, find their pitch, look for their pitch. And if their pitch didn't come, try to draw a walk. And right now, there's no approach out there. It's just, push X or square and see what happens, and power swing, contact swing, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like you're playing MLB The Show.
I don't even know if they're making contact swings, because it's just Twin Series. I think there was only 2 at bats. Outside of Renifo's line drives that he was hitting at people trying to go the other way. At least he was trying to spark something. But you saw Travis d'Arnaud on a slider on a 2-strike pitch, instead of going, he could have went with it and poked it to right. He could have uppercut swing and hit a weak ground ball or popped up. Instead, he kind of just flailed the bat at the outside corner and poked it to left field and for a double. And I thought that was a great at bat. And I thought Zach Neto did the same thing. It was a pitch on a slider in the outside corner by Ryan, and he went with it and put it over the seats. Not Ryan, the pitcher before that. Anyway, the point is, 2 at bats in there's 27 outs. I'm going to try to do math right on the fly. 54 plus 20, 64, 71 at bats, or 71 outs. I mean, it's pretty bad, Fernando. I mean, me and you were, at the end of the Madden era, at the beginning of the Nevin era, when we saw differences on every other night, with a bunt here or bunt there, we got excited. We're like, hey man, they're playing small ball. They're doing that. And then, like you said, Thames came in, brought more of the launch angle, and now it seems like Johnny Washington's continuing it.
Yeah, they were by bunting. They bunted here, they bunted there. And now they're just not bunting.
Exactly. They're not winning.
Yeah, they're not bunting. So, I mean, this is an offense that scored a combined 5 runs.
Yes.
That Twin Series. This is also a team that is maybe a handful of pitches away from just about getting swept or just about losing 9 straight.
Yeah,
Well, hold up. So they lost that Saturday game against the Giants. They walked off on that Sunday, on Easter Sunday.
mhm.
But once again, I mean, they scored what, like 4 runs or whatever in the ninth inning. So they were 1 out away, 1 ball not bouncing their way away from losing that series. You almost got swept by the Pirates. We talked about Thursday's game.
Yeah.
If Zach Neto didn't hit that home run, if Logan O'Hoppe didn't hit a home run there, I mean, who knows? Then we're talking about getting swept by the Pirates. I mean, it's been a lot of really bad series.
Well, let me put this by you, Fernando. Currently, the Angels are 12-15 as of this recording. And, if you look at the division, and I hate doing it this early, I brought it up several times. You're the same way. You like to check it out later.
Well, when the team is sucking, I don't mind looking at the standings.
Yeah. But I mean, like, for all intents and purposes, they clinched a losing April, which is something me and you talked about that didn't need to happen. They needed to get off to a good April. But again, year 4 of this show is year 4 of them underperforming in April. But with that being said, Fernando, they're only a game and a half out of first place. Think about all those games that you can think of where this team, in a post this morning, people were screaming about the pitching still, ignoring the fact that the offense has been anemic. Yes, this pitching is not outstanding, but have they put a lot of guys on? Have they walked a lot of guys? Yes, but when they need to bear down and get it out, they've done it. So statistically wise, they look crappy, but that crappy pitching, if they had any kind of hitting, Fernando, because they're averaging 2.3 runs a game right now. If they were averaging 4 runs, we would be talking about a team that's probably winning 7 out of 9.
Yeah, we're probably talking about a team that is in first place in that situation. I mean, like you said, nobody's running away with the West, and no one's going to run away with the West most likely. I mean,
Correct.
we're currently talking about the Angels that are facing the Seattle Mariners, who are currently in first place. And last time I checked, their offense isn't the best either.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know if I'm as willing to say as everyone else was on the question of the day. By the way, make sure you check out the question of the day. If you don't already do it, follow us on social media. We post a question of the day almost every day of the week.
It's been popping lately, by the way.
Yeah, it's funny. So today's was 100% a throwaway. And I told you guys this before. There's some questions where it's like, man, I don't know what to put. Sorry, I sound a little out there, guys. I haven't slept in like 2 days, literally. So, yeah, I really didn't care this morning. I put something out there, and it's funny because those are always the ones that get the most engagement.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple years ago when Mike Moustakas was still on this team. I just did like some random question about Mike Moustakas, and it got like 25,000 views, engagements on Twitter, and I was like, okay, that's just how it is. But there's a lot of fans, as I'm sure you saw, that are dismissing this team already. Hey, they are a last place team. They were pretenders all along. I'm not saying this team's a first place team by any way, shape, or form. I understand the last time I saw them in Arlington before that series, they were a first place team. And that was what, like 10 days ago?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that long ago that they were in the middle of that Texas two-step. And we were all kind of hopeful. But I'm not ready to say they're a last place team. At least they shouldn't be at this phase of the quote unquote rebuild. That isn't actually a rebuild. All I know is if we're in a situation where this is a last place team and they're losing in spectacular fashion again, we're not going anywhere anytime soon. And honestly, at that point, the young core probably isn't even working.
Yeah, I'd have to agree right there because if you look at this team right now, on paper, they look talented, and they should because they do have a history of these players coming through, and we could probably average out their numbers and be like, okay, this is what we expect and everything. But Fernando, the last 3 seasons, I would have to say, and I don't know if you agree with me on this one, but I would have to say this is the most talented team we've seen in the last 3 years.
No, the bar's pretty low.
I know it's low, but you gotta like I'm just saying, like, if everyone's healthy, all those cheap additions that we've had over the last few years, at least these look comparable to competing, correct?
Well, let me ask you this.
Or am I just
Go.
honking my honk? Sorry.
Well, I was going to ask you, please elaborate for me. Like, I don't think that this is the least talented Angels team we've seen. We haven't made the playoffs in over 10 years now.
Correct.
So, out of those 10 years, this is by far not the worst roster I've seen. But how do you think this is the best roster we've seen, at least like during the time of this podcast? So, what, 4 years now?
Yeah, well, I'm looking at it like this because like Kiwanowitz, I like Algieri, that could come up. There's pitchers that for finally in the farm system that can do some help in the bullpen or in the rotation. You're seeing some lively arms like Fermin that came up. If Joyce can ever stay healthy, I mean, do we have a Hall of Famer at closer right now? The rotation isn't all that bad. We don't have Suarez there, so that's a plus by itself. And then hitting wise, we don't have number 6 there. And I do see nice talent up and down that lineup, even without Makata, because he's like, another, what's his name that we sent to Colorado, another first round pick that he could be a bust or just failing in the system. But I just look at it like there's the talent there, but the management is so bad right now. Like how they utilize the bullpen in certain scenarios. We've thrown away a few games because they bring in the wrong guys at the wrong time, or leave guys out there to hang, I'm not even bringing up Johnson. And then like, as far as hitting, like if these guys are on, man, it's a formidable lineup. And, Mike Trout's already been healthier than any other season so far that we've seen the last 3 years. So it just boggles my mind. Like, if things are just a little bit different managerial wise and kind of like technique and approach, it's easy to see this team could swing 4 games in the standings and be in first place, lickety split.
Please never say that again.
I'm bringing it back, bro. Bringing it back.
Yeah, we're gonna check out the merch store where there's a shirt that says lickety split. What I'm worried about is the offense right now. Now, I agree with you in the sense of this is the first time in probably a long while where I can actually see the Angels winning 5 or 6 in a row just out of nowhere.
Correct.
Can I see them losing 5 or 6 in a row? Sure. I mean, we were almost there this week. You know what I mean? A couple of balls didn't bounce our way against the Giants or that Pirates, where Zach Nando came up clutch in the bottom of the 8th there. Yeah, we could be talking about us losing, almost 9 games in a row. It would be 8 in that case. But
Ron would be on a mohawk right now. But
yeah. Who needs a mohawk when you don't have any hair at all? He'd probably be funny if he came like in a wig.
That would be funny,
like a Prince style wig. Anyway, so the point is, like, I could see this team potentially going on a run. Sure. But the biggest thing is we're talking about a team that has almost nobody that's hot right now. Trout's currently batting 170. He's played in every possible Angels game so far this season, if I'm right.
Yeah, almost every game. I think he's only sat 1.
Okay.
And even then, I think he came up as a pinch hitter, didn't he?
I didn't remember. I thought he's played in every single game. I mean, either way, he's played in almost every game if he hasn't played in all of them. Yeah, hot take, guys. We're allowed to be wrong from here to there, okay? It happens. Todd, remember when Todd said that Jose Suarez was going to be great? I mean, come on. Zach Neto is really the only player right now carrying this team on his back. He's been on fire since he came back. Taylor Ward was batting 194 at the end of yesterday's game. Logan O'Hoppe, 256. Okay, he's kind of a 250 to 270 hitter, right? You're kind of going to get that out of O'Hoppe, no problem. Travis d'Arnaud, he is what he is. He's a backup catcher. I'm not going to count him in this. Luis Rengifo was batting 242 at the end of yesterday's game. J.D. Davis was batting 111.
He was just DFA'd, by the way.
Yep, Joe Adell, 195. And then Kyron Paris, who's arguably the coldest hitter possible, 231. So the point is there's a lot of guys there that are barely hitting their weight. So it's really hard to imagine this team going on a successful run or turning it around if every guy's cold at once. Yes, do cold streaks happen? It's a long season. Of course they do. But when everyone goes cold at once, you got to do something.
Yeah, that's my whole biggest thing. Like, I get it if like you're in a losing streak. Like when the Angels were in that losing streak under Madden, things would go wrong defensively. They'd go wrong pitching wise. They'd go wrong hitting wise. They just didn't go ice cold in all three. Various stages would falter and they would lose games. And we've said it before, if 3 or 4 guys are cold in the lineup for about a week or two, you could kind of get that because they maybe lost their mojo or something, or maybe 1 or 2 guys. I get that max, but it's happened where it's been 3 or 4 at a time. But like you said, the entire freaking lineup is cold, dude. Like they're all bad. That to me screams it's an inside job. It's the managers, it's the coaches that are stressing something that is just not working for the Halos. And we've been saying that over and over and over. And, whether that gets somebody fired or whether that gets someone promoted, I don't know, man. But, dude, something's got to change because it's too early in the season, bro, to be sucking this hard.
Yeah, I mean, there's something you play for, right?
Yeah. Hello? You play to win the game.
You play to win the game, Todd.
Yep.
And when you're not winning, there has to be a red flag that goes up, right? And look, it'd be stupid to fire anyone right now, right? It's too early in the year. Now, if we're talking about July and everyone's hitting like this, do you fire people? Maybe. I mean, what are we competing for this year? Really nothing, right? We said that this year we're hoping to play competitive ball games. And I guess technically, even with all these losses and the bad baseball we've seen, they're still competitive, ?
Mm-hmm.
But there has to be progress made in the form of these young players. Zach Neto's hot right now, but inevitably he's going to cool down. That's not because I'm cheering for him to do that. Zach Neto's my favorite player on the team, but because that's baseball. So hopefully he kind of cools down when the rest of the team heats up. Because if one guy's cold, who cares, right? That's fine. You can find a way to lift up one guy. But when 7 of your guys aren't hitting their body weight, there's an issue. Look, Trout's batting 170. That's a red flag. We are now about a month into the season, a little over a month now, right? So there's about 100-ish games left, which is already kind of crazy if you think about it. But, I mean, it's kind of scary that Trout's batting this low because also before he got hurt last year, he was also batting in the high 100s. Okay, great. His power's still there. I don't need your power, Trout. I don't need you to hit 40 home runs. I need you to hit 25 home runs, drive in 90 RBIs. I need you to have an on-base percentage in the 460, the 460s would be crazy, in the 360s. And, at least flirt with like 340, 350. You're Mike Trout. Nobody can ever really question his eye. He's got one of the better eyes in baseball. He does walk a lot. But the guy's not hitting the ball, man. He's hitting a home run or he's popping out. He had the triple, the one that we watched.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's got a couple of singles, and that's really about it this year.
Yeah, he's got 3 total hits that aren't home runs. And then the fact that, I mean, you're talking about a collective performance by the entire lineup that has yielded the least amount of walks in all of baseball. These guys aren't earning walks. I mean, there's several games that they've gone with no walks. They had 4 walks over that weekend series. It's pretty pathetic. Again, the pitching is doing just about as best it can do, along with the defense, to keep these games close enough to where it's not blowouts, but you're just not generating a damn thing. It's nothing is going your way. I know, like you said, ebbs and flows go during the game, peaks and valleys, but you just can't always be valleys. Then there's something wrong. Again, you're not trying anything outside the box. It's the same approaches. So as an Angel fan, it is extremely frustrating because, again, this is supposed to be the easy part of your schedule, so to speak. And it's not like we're a juggernaut looking at these series and saying, okay, we're going to win 2 out of 3 here. We're going to win 3 out of 4 here. We're going to go on a 6-game. No. Like we've said since the beginning, we don't have high expectations as a page. I'm the only one that said that they would go 81 and 81. Everyone else had them winning 75, 74 games, 77, because, we just want to take that next step because obviously last year was such a regression. We figured they'll at least be competitive this year, give us something to cheer about in September, and we're cool. And I think that's not a lot to ask, you know.
Yeah, let's go over some of these numbers. Now, this was at Halos Anonymous. So the Angels in 2025, worst fielding percentage in the American League, 975. Second most errors with 24. 29th in batting average, batting 214 right now as a team. 30th in on-base percentage, with an on-base percentage of 268 collectively as a team. That is terrible.
Yeah.
And then MLB worst, 198 average with runners in scoring position.
And what have we been harping on since the page? You know, there's always been that aspect, okay, we need starting pitching. That's been there since Jared Weaver. Okay, we can't deny
It'll be here forever, dude. We can have Paul Skeens, Justin Verlander in his prime, Garrett Cole in his prime, Greg Maddux, and Jared Weaver, and people would be like, "We need pitching. We need pitching."
Exactly, and but the one thing as a page that we've stayed consistent with is runners in scoring position, man. Even when a couple of years ago, bro, when they were putting some guys on base and their on base percentage was kind of decent, working walks and whatnot. How many times did we see the bases loaded, nobody out, and they didn't score? How many times we saw second and third and they didn't score?
Yeah, dude, this team is one of the only teams I could think of over the last several years where I've seen no outs, bases loaded, and you're like, man, here we go. Time to break open the pinata, and they get like a run if they're lucky. A run. And most of the time it's like, okay, well.
Yeah, like they'll ground into a double play, and we're like, cool, there's the runner at third with 2 outs, and we needed like 3 runs to tie it, and yeah.
At least we got a run. All right. And then Gooby's like, whoa, wow, what great hitting. Now let's see a home run, huh? Hey, here we go. By Jack.
Let's take a ride with Honda.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Let's go to OG's.
Well, I mean, that's just the frustrating thing, man. I mean, like, again, you see these games, and like tonight, we're playing the Mariners as we speak. We're watching that right now.
Already losing 3-0.
Yeah, and again, you had a first inning where they had the first 2 men on, and what happens? Double play, and then they get out of the inning. So they just continue to do stupid stuff, bro. Like, I don't get it. Even when they attempt to change things up, they just...
So I want your opinion on this, because most of the time I could see an avenue where it works, but obviously we've seen it happen over these last couple of years, and it hasn't really made too much of a difference. Should the Angels consider firing one of their coaches, or is it A, too early for that, or B, is it just not going to make a difference?
At this point, it's hard to say. But if the hitting continues, I wouldn't give it more than another week at best. I already think it's too late to not too late, but it's too far in the season to be like playing this bad. So I would say, man, you got to fire at least Johnny Washington, at least. And my only problem
But, I mean, who are you going to hire as a hitting coach right now?
Dude, somebody who's reputable, someone who had a career, somebody who did things outside, not outside the box, but did things meticulous, focuses on detail. That's what I want. I don't want no Paul Sereno, no Jeremy, I'm in the minor leagues forever Reed, because Paul Sereno was an all or nothing hitter. Thames was an all or nothing hitter. Was
Corey
so
Hunter?
bad.
Do you want him?
Yes, so, dude. I mean, look, at this point, give me John Olerud, give me freaking Chili Davis, give me players who have been there, done that.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. So I'm sure you remember, a couple weeks ago now, Albert Pujols won whatever it was.
I take him.
Caribbean Classic.
Yeah.
My apologies. I don't know what I don't know what it's called, but I know it's some kind of winter ball championship.
Uh-huh.
So, and I know the level of play down there is pretty good. A lot of people know that. That's why a lot of players go down to the Latin Americas to play during the off season. So, you said you would take him, but what I wanted to bring up. Albert Pujols was notorious for grinding to double plays.
Yes.
See, I was never really angry about it. I know a lot of people were. I was always kind of like, okay, think about it like this. You need to make contact to do something good in the sport, right? And a lot of people are like, well, he shouldn't be grinding out as much. It's like, okay, well, he made contact. Sometimes it doesn't go through.
Mm-hmm.
don't are you worried about Pujols in a hitting coach capacity, or are you kind of the same mentality? Hey, man, they made contact. Unfortunately, it was a double play.
No, because I remember things that he would do. Like he would actually hit a pitching machine that served up golf balls, neon colored golf balls. So that way the baseball in game would look like a freaking softball to him. So little things like that. And like you said, you pointed out when you saw him in live batting practice, he would point to a certain part of the field and he'd hit it there. So stuff like
Yeah,
that.
hit the exact same spot, man. Literally every time, just boop, 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 same spot.
Yeah, when you told me, I was like, dude, that's, he knows what he's doing. He knows how fast his bat needs to go, where it needs to be to hit it to those places. It's the little things. And yes, he hit into a major league record, which we made fun of him for all those double plays. But if you think about it, the plantar fasciitis played a huge role in that, with the way he swung the bat, also the way he ran. So there's no doubt in my mind he would have beat out a lot of those if his feet were right. But it is what it is. I still think that contact is supreme, and it's way better than striking out 36 times over a 3-game series like the Angels did against the Twins.
Yeah, and one thing I will always say about Albert is he always had a good approach in the sense of he never looked overmatched in that bat. Like, of course, has he struck out? Of course. Did he look silly? Of course. But, like, there was never an at bat where I was like, man, they made Albert Pujols look sad. But I remember when number 17 was here, and even now that he played for that dreaded team in blue, he looks overmatched routinely. Yeah, of course. Is he still a good hitter? Yeah, of course. I won't take that away from him. Same with Trout, man. Trout looks overmatched quite often. But when did Pujols ever looked overmatched?
Yeah, that's true. And the thing is, like with Ohtani, I'll give him. I'm sorry I said his name, but
yeah, how dare you?
Number 17, when you'd see him swing out of his helmet, he'd have a week or two where he was pretty bad, but then he'd come back and he'd readjust. Or you might see him swing out of his helmet twice in a game. And then the third time he's winding up hitting a huge home run for us because he adjusted. He did his homework and was like, okay, I'm not going to look like that again. And I think a lot of pride has to come into that, like they need to teach these players pride. And what I was thinking of too, I mean, you already got Torrey Hunter here who was ending his career when analytics were kind of, forcing their way into the game. And he's got that old school mentality as well. And I think Albert Pujols has the best of both worlds as well. I know they're not the best of friends, but you got to pick one or the other. And right now I think I would lean towards Pujols. And I like the attention to detail that he provides as a hitter. I mean, nobody said that he's a bad teammate. And I think, people would look up to that Hall of Famer in waiting and be like, hey, man, I want to be like Pujols. So I want to put in the work. And I know he had to, do a lot of things to maintain his career and play as long as he did. So I think it would be great for guys like Ohapi and Neto, and even to have Trout look, even though he's an older player, still look up to Pujols because that was his role model coming up in the first place.
Well, there you go. Todd thinks that Johnny Washington should get the boot.
Fire is that? Fire. Yes.
Now let me ask you this. So Johnny Washington, you say, should be held accountable, in a week if this team continues to just regress offensively. Are you on the same boat with Ron Washington? Or given the fact that it's a contract year, do you just kind of write it out with Ron Washington with that considered?
I think two things happen here. If Johnny Washington's fired, right, obviously it's a huge ego hit for Ron. Ron knows he's next. If they just go about it with the same mentality and a similar style with a hitting coach, Ron Washington should get the boot before the end of the season. He should, because if you're continuing down the same road and nothing's popping off, you're not getting that fire under your ass to play better. The players don't see the writing on the wall. Well, then you know what? If you can't get these guys motivated, well, then you're next to go. And I think the time's ticking. I don't think you let it ride out. If this team continues to underperform, you got to give them the boot, man.
Yeah, that's fair. Now, Perry, how much blame does he have in all this?
Well, it depends because there's no transparency here, in my opinion. You don't see, I don't think he's ever been asked the hard questions too. Like, how much does this rely on the analytics? How much control does Ron Washington have? How much control do you have? Who's calling the shots? How do you guys go with, your draft picks? Like, what are you looking at player? What's the Angel way, as he's said in a few other press conferences? We like to do an Angel way here. We have a way of doing things. Okay, what is the way that you do things? What are the intangibles of an Angel player that best fits this organization? We don't know. So
That's fair.
Are they hitting? Like, are they the right ones that you've got? Is this the team that you absolutely want and can put your stamp on it, Manassian? Or is this something to where you're fighting with other people and it's sort of a handful of your guys and a handful of theirs?
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, because at this point, Perry's been here long enough that his handprint should be all over this team, right? And you still got some Epler guys. You still got, some of these Perry guys. So, yeah, I mean, is it blended? Sure. Does he have the best of both? I don't necessarily think so. Because, I mean, look, so you brought in Kyle Hendricks. That has not worked out. Griffin Canning's killing it in New York right now.
Yep.
Yusei Kikuchi, not panning out right now. You still got 2 more years of him. I'm not giving up on him just yet. Travis Darnaud hasn't been great. Jorge Soler has been fine. I've liked his acquisition thus far.
Me too.
But, yeah, and Kenley Jensen's been great. But, I mean, aside from that, I mean, there isn't too much that's been really working. Kevin Newman's been bad. Am I missing anything?
Moncada hasn't really seen the field much, and when he did, he didn't have an average.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, there's Stevenson. We're still waiting on him to make his Angel debut. And if you look up and down the minor league system too right now, all 4 teams have losing records. So there's a few diamonds in the rough that are performing, but Christian Moore is not hitting either. So there's trouble here in paradise, if you want to call it that.
So as we close April then, so I know how you feel about Johnny Washington and Ron Washington. The seat's getting warm from what it sounds like for both of them.
Yeah.
How is it for Perry? Do you think if this continues, or even if the Angels just have an average season, where we sit right now at the end of April, do you think Perry gets brought back after this season?
I would have to say it's a massive failure at this point. And if the brass and the fear make the move, I would say you'd have to just clean house, dude. You'd have to clean house and bring in a brand new regime. And I know the Angels fans don't want that, but I mean, do you really just keep it going with Manassian after this? I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been a giant Perry guy. I mean, there's a lot of people who are like, oh, well, he's so good at drafting. I mean, is he? He got Neto. Sure, he got Ben Joyce. Sure, he got Shanuel. Shanuel's a terrible defensive first baseman so far. Over these last couple of years, I have not been impressed defensively, man, at all.
Agreed.
Offensively, sure, he's a decent stick. He gets on base. But, I mean, that's it. Logan O'Hoppe was a trade. It wasn't an amazing trade. We gave up a guy who we could also really use right now. Brandon Marsh has been great since he went over to Philadelphia. And we got O'Hoppe? No, not at all. But we could have used Brandon Marsh in theory just as much right now as we need Logan O'Hoppe.
Agreed.
You really don't need an amazing catcher these days.
No, I mean, O'Hoppe, like in my mind, to not kill his knees, I think you would play him about 7 or 8 years as a catcher, and then put him over at DH at some point. I think or first
Buster Posey treatment.
Yeah. And Posey actually played a long time as a catcher, so
I
wouldn't want those injuries to creep up if he's ran into, because there's still accidents that can happen at home plate, even with the new rules. One thing as we're wrapping up here, I want to get your thoughts on Fernando. I don't know if you saw the news today that broke, along with the OC Vibe that is publicly funded by the Ducks ownership, the Samuelsons. I forget how they say their name.
The Samuelis or
Samueli. There you go. They made a major announcement today that they are going to put $1 billion into the pond, now known as Honda Center, as a revitalization to go along with the OC vibe. So they're going to expand that stadium because, venues like, or entertainment companies like the WWE don't really like going there as much anymore because it seems like an outdated stadium, too small. They're looking to build it up and just revamp it and put all kinds of cool stuff into it to match the vibe of the OC vibe. Fernando, my question is, with everything that the Samuelsons have done, they seem to have done everything counter to what Artie did, and they seem to have gotten exactly what they want.
Yeah, there's a friend of the show. I won't say his name just right now, but he's kind of told me that everything the Angels aren't, the Ducks are. They've leaned into the Orange County thing. They've leaned into the, hey, we represent you. I drove past the OZ Vibe on last Thursday, and I mean, it looks really big. I don't exactly know what it is just yet. I mean, I've seen the concept art, but I can't point and be like, oh, that's the concert venue. Oh, that's the blah, blah, blah. It all just looks like a giant parking structure right now. But maybe that is what they're building right now. I don't exactly know what the long-term plan is. But I will say that the Ducks have done a really good job of announcing, like, hey, we are proud to be in Anaheim. We are proud to be in Orange County. We're not trying to pretend that we're LA.
Yeah, I think that has endeared fans that were also a hardcore base, and now it's endured the regular normies in Anaheim that hey, we have a staple here. And that's the thing that also I like to point out to Angel fans is, if Artie was so rich, because they go online and you could supposedly guess how much money they have in their banks. Artie, I don't think that, or doubt that he has maybe about $1 billion or so, but he's not swimming in it like the Samuelsons, or I can't just.
Sorry, Todd, you're not a name guy.
No, I'm not, but you know who I'm talking about. They're not like that. He's not like that. He doesn't have the cash flowing. And I think it's easier for them to do it, obviously, or like a Kroenke that owns the Rams. So that's why, again, you either bring in other investors, you sell the team, or you sell it better and you actually work on a legal term with the city. Because, again, it's kind of hard to tell the Ducks no when they're fronting 90 to 95% of the money.
Yeah, I mean, for Artie, man, you either step up or you step aside. You can't want to embrace this LA market if you're not going to go out of your way to, what's the term? To prove that you belong. I mean, think about it. You really are, assuming you are in this LA market, man, you really are at last fiddle now.
Correct.
The Dodgers are way ahead of you. The Lakers are way ahead of you. The redheaded stepchild was the Clippers, and now they're in the nicest arena in basketball, right?
My God, I didn't even think of that. Oh, that's embarrassing.
That's what I'm saying. So the Clippers were always the laughingstock of LA, right? No offense to Clippers fans. I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean it like because the Angels are on the same boat. So think about it like that, man. Now you're even behind them. You're behind the Galaxy. You're behind the LAFC. I mean, man.
Yeah, that's rough now that you bring it up, dude.
Hell, even the Trojans just redid the stadium, and that's a college team. You know what I mean? Like their arena's a lot better than it was 10 years ago.
Boy, I'm trying to think of a team that's suffering, that has a suffering status more than us, but I can't think of one now.
Yeah, no, there isn't. Not in LA. I mean, hell, you're gonna say the Sparks probably.
Yeah, but at least the Sparks get to play in the freaking crypto arena too. So I mean, it's not like that's a bad venue.
I thought they played at the USC Pavilion, unless it was like Caitlin Clark was coming to town. I thought they played at the Crypto.com arena.
Nice. They still wind up because they put the curtains all the way around. So
okay,
they got.
So we'll see what happens with the Kings. I mean, the Kings still playing Crypto.com arena. I mean, they're probably never going to get a new arena, but I mean, they're not trying to. But the point is, we really are the ugly duckling if you're trying to claim the LA market. And the Ducks don't claim the LA market, but they get grouped in there just by default. And man, you're going to get outdone by them. So
yeah, I mean, it's just it's so frustrating. I mean, now that I think about it too, the sports arena not the sports arena, but the Forum. The fabulous Forum was remodeled a few years ago too. So that was a decaying arena, and now that one could, it's not, but it's hosted some preseason games. They do concerts there. It's all revitalized. So yeah, the Angels, coming to think of it, have like the oldest stadium, the most beat up stadium. And still people say, well, the parking's still pretty good and it's easy to get out of there. It's okay, but it's falling apart. I mean, like, look at the other day when we were sitting club level, you're all like, I don't remember it shaking like this.
Yeah, it was bad. Yeah, it's tough, man, because like where we were sitting, we had great seats. It looks beautiful from there. You know what I mean? Nothing's wrong with it from there. The green walls are freshly painted green. They have the A's around. You know what I mean? The screens are nice and vibrant. And it's a very photogenic ballpark. But yes, go to the club level, go to the field level, go to the 500s. Look up, man. It looks bad. I've heard from many women that the stalls are falling apart. There's a lot of men's stalls that are falling apart, man. I mean,
they're rusted out.
Yeah, they're rusted out. Some of the pipes are leaking. Like, this is just certain things that need to be addressed like often because
and there's safety issues.
Yeah. I mean, we've been tagged where there's like pieces of concrete that fall. There's a piece a couple years ago we were tagged in on Twitter, like in like left field.
Dan Rios has a piece of concrete that fell that he has put in his big fish tank as a souvenir. He kept it.
It's funny.
And so
I'm gonna have Artie sign it.
And but I wonder, when I was doing the clown routine and we were walking through the 500s and the 400s, we were walking through there and I was realizing, man, I don't sit up here a lot, but damn, dude, like, how do people do it without falling? Because the railing isn't exactly all that great, and then sometimes when people are going up and down, you can't hold on to the railing. How do these people don't trip more? I have no idea. They're extremely lucky because those steps are uneven and they're pretty damn steep.
Yeah, same at the club level. Those like stairs are like a stair and a half tall.
Yeah. Someone with real short legs would struggle. That's for sure.
Yeah. So fix the stadium. And the other thing is like that I don't get it. It's like it's the city of Anaheim's responsibility. The mayor even said as much that like they're responsible for the large chunk of like the upgrades, and the Angels aren't even letting them like do like audits. So it's like, what are you doing?
They're trying to stay away from legal action against Artie, but it's going to have to happen if he's not letting him in. I mean, come on, my God, he's paying $1 for the entire year.
Yeah.
So he's hiding something, man. Maybe there's dead bodies in there and we can finally get him out of here. I don't know.
Hey, man, I mean, hopefully nobody had to die. But, I mean, at this point, man, that's what it's going to take.
That's true. That's true. So last question I have for you, Fernando. I know you need some sleep big time, man. And
I'm like slurring my words.
Appreciate you for being on as far as this show's concerned, because we needed some content, needed your opinions on here as always. But last thing I got for you, man, outside of the Seattle series that'll wrap up tomorrow, we have a 10-game homestand featuring the Tigers, Orioles, and Blue Jays, or Tigers, Blue Jays, and Orioles. One of the longest homestands of the year, if not the longest. Thoughts, Fernando? Do we leave that homestand with a new hitting coach, or do we see an improvement on the homestand?
I don't know, man. I mean, the cliche is, hey, it's going to be a test. But, I mean, the Tigers are a decent team with great pitching. They're in first place. They have 18 wins. I think that's the best in the American League right now. Yes. Yeah, they're tied with the Yankees. Yeah. So, and I mean, they're one of the best in baseball in general. So with all that being said, man, I mean, Detroit's a good team. The Blue Jays, don't sleep on them either. I mean, I understand they're in fourth place, but it's also a good division. And you said the other team was who? The Orioles?
Baltimore right now, they've got the worst starting pitching in the league for some reason this year.
I think everyone's hurt, right?
Yeah, it's whoever they're bringing up right now is not getting the job done.
Yeah, last time I checked, I think they have a former Savannah Banana in their rotation. So if some guy's going to come out there wearing lipstick and doing a little dance routine,
Yeah.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Wait, what's he doing? Why is he doing a shimmy? No, yeah, I know he wasn't from that Savannah Bananas. He was from the side that was like supposed to be more competitive or whatever. But you know what? The Orioles are struggling right now, and there's no better team to face when you're struggling than the Angels. So lucky for them.
Okay, so you're predicting a 1-9 homestand.
Yeah, no. I think they're going to win one of those series. At the current moment, I don't know which one. Ask me when we're actually getting to them.
Now, did we lose a coach though? Does the coaching staff survive that homestand?
I don't think anyone's going to get fired this year. I just don't. I think with Perry coming off the books potentially, yeah, and Ron Washington, this biggest contract year, I just think they're going to let everyone write it out and just kind of go from there personally.
All right. Well, let's see if you're right. We'll revisit that. We'll have a show between then, obviously, but we'll definitely be checking in on that. So with that being said, I'm done with this one, Fernando. I am Todd Fox.
I am Fernando. Thank you to our sponsors, everybody.
Yes, sir. So we'll catch you on the rebound on the next episode. Go Angels, I guess.